will be no sweet drinks and food allowed in the auditorium. And please try to move in and fill up the seats next to you as much as possible so that the other guests can move in more conveniently. And please hold on to your tickets as that will be needed for verification if you want to leave the Audi and re-enter again. Thank you. concert will be beginning in 2 minutes. Here's a gentle reminder to switch off all mobile devices or turn them to silent mode. And no flash photography will be allowed throughout the entire duration of the concert. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Our concert will be beginning very soon. May we now all rise to welcome our school leaders. Thank you. Please take your seats. Good evening, school leaders, teachers, parents, guests, and fellow Arvians. Welcome to ReVerie 2023. My name is Chen Jia, Vice Chairperson of this event. And on behalf of the 8th Aesthetics Council, we are delighted to have you with us here today. After almost 4 years, our aesthetic CCAs are finally back to performing in the auditorium just for you. Some of us may be wondering what ReVerie is all about. ReVerie is an annual concert planned by the Aesthetics Council, which serves as a platform for our aesthetic CCAs members to showcase their talents, performance, and products of their blood, sweat, and tears. This year, our aesthetic CCAs have put in months of hard work and dedication into their preparation for their SYF pieces, which they will be presenting to us today. We hope that through their heartfelt performances, we'll be able to ignite our passion for the arts and bring excitement and joy to all of us here. Lastly, we would like to extend our greatest appreciation to all our school leaders, teachers in charge, instructors, family and friends. ReVerie 2023 would not have been possible without all of your understanding and unwavering support. Before we begin the concert, here are a few gentle reminders. Firstly, do switch off all of our mobile devices or turn them to silent mode. No flash photography will be allowed throughout the entire duration of the concert. At any point of time, if you wish to use the restroom or exit the auditorium, please do so only through the doors on the middle level of the auditorium. Next, you may refer to the back of your concert tickets and scan the QR code to view our program booklet and the lineup of performances. And lastly, please refrain from creating any unnecessary disruptions during the performance pieces so as to minimize disturbance for our performers on stage. Thank you, and please sit back, relax, and enjoy our lineup of sensational performances.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Ashley.
I'm Zijun.
And we are from River Valley Chinese Orchestra. Today, we'll be performing a total of 2 pieces. Our first piece is titled Wu Wei, Dauntless, composed by Wang Chengwei. Dauntless, the Forceful Orchestra, Dauntless comprises of 2 themes, the martial theme as well as the literary theme. The forceful orchestra tutti opening in Dauntless leads to the resolute and dignified martial theme. This is in great contrast with the tender and elegant literary theme in the middle section, featuring the plucked string instruments. Finally, the martial theme is recapitulated, building up to a climatic conclusion. Through this, the local composer aspires to encourage youth to brave challenges with tenacity.
Our second piece is Jiang Junling, the General's Command, rearranged by Gu Guanren. This piece is adopting largo, rubato, lento, and other tempo techniques to strengthen its expressiveness, sounding forceful and full of vitality. The rearranger builds on the grandeur of the work with a slow rhythm in the introduction and the extension of the allegro section. This alteration strengthens the melody development and the flow of the composition. Without a doubt, Jiang Junli is indeed such a strong and victorious piece. With that, let us put our hands together to welcome our conductor, Mr. Shuntago.
Thank you, CEO, for the amazing performance. Good evening, everyone. I am Hannah, the band major of River Valley High School's concert band. Today, the band will be performing two pieces, Tanah di Bawah Angin and To the Summit. Tanah di Bawah Angin is this year's SYF set piece, proudly written by our very own RV alumnus, Mr. Wong Kachun. By listening to this piece, you will be able to hear many familiar tunes, such as Chan Mali Chan and Di Tajong Katong. These songs are expertly weaved into a new piece of music that boasts of Singapore's heritage. This song is not only pleasant to our ears, but will also remind you of our rich multicultural roots. This song will be conducted by me. The second piece that the band will be performing is titled To the Summit by Robert W. Smith. As the name suggests, this song represents one's journey towards the peak of a mountain. In our life, we are constantly faced with many challenges and obstacles. As one mountain is faced, we meet another mountain with a greater challenge. To the Summit celebrates our eternal quest for new heights and excellence. This song will be conducted by our conductor, Miss Chan. With that, sit back, relax, and enjoy the performance by RV Concert Band. Thank you.
Wow, thank you for that spectacular performance by concert band. Next up, we'll be having English debates to present an exciting exhibition debate tonight. I'm Jordan and I'll be chairing today's debate. The team affirming the motion will be the government on your left, with the first speaker, Rose, as the Prime Minister, second speaker, Jessica, as the Deputy Prime Minister, and the third speaker, Rio, as the government whip. The team negating the motion will be the opposition on your right, with the first speaker, Charlize, as the leader of opposition, the second speaker, Reina, as the deputy leader of opposition, and third speaker, Joseph, as the opposition whip. Each speaker will be entitled to 3 minutes of speaking time. Speakers will be reminded to wrap up their case when the bell rings upon the 3-minute mark. Before the exhibition debate begins, may we invite all members of the audience to enter our ReVerie website at tinyurl.com/reverie23 and scan the QR code under the section for ear debates on night 1 to participate in our interactive poll. I repeat, the ReVerie website is at tinyurl.com/reverie23. Ladies and gentlemen, the motion for today's exhibition debate is, this House regrets the narrative of happily ever after. May we now call upon the Prime Minister to open the case for government. Prime Minister, please.
Happily ever after is a common trope in fairy tales, be it in Frozen, where Elsa overcomes the fear of her powers and embraces herself, to Rapunzel after escaping an evil stepmother and gaining freedom. These fairy tales ultimately end in the protagonist achieving happiness. Thus, the message that is derived from happily ever after is that happiness is guaranteed. Since fairy tales are always about the protagonist getting their happily ever after, it is more likely that people relate themselves to this protagonist. So, when this protagonist gets their eventual happiness, people will want to get their own happily ever after and acquire their own desired outcomes. But why is that bad? Our first argument is that happily ever after promotes selfishness and individualism. Regardless of how you think happiness is obtained, be it from wealth, popularity, or love, happily ever after promises and guarantees happiness. So the longer people take to achieve happiness, the more desperate they are for it. Because when you know something is happiness and you can attain it, you want to achieve it as soon as possible. But why is this selfishness harmful? First, this becomes closely intertwined with one's belief system when making decisions, where people will prioritize their own happiness over the needs and well-being of others. For example, in relationships, this looks like lashing out on your partner when he or she is unable to give you the happiness that you want, with feelings of frustration and annoyance when they make you unhappy, resulting in the formations of fragile relationships. Second, when individuals prioritize their happiness at the expense of these relationships subconsciously, they start devaluing the importance of a community and are less inclined to work for a societal cause to benefit the large majority. Which leads to my third point, the lack of empathy. This is because in order to show empathy, you have to sacrifice something, and you have to have selfless concern for others. For example, when you donate to a charity, it is a kind act. But if your definition of happiness is to be immensely wealthy, you will not be inclined to donate to a charity because you are solely focused on becoming rich. And donating to a charity will only delay your process of becoming wealthy. Thus, when the narrative says that happiness is guaranteed, yet some people have not achieved their happiness yet, they will not be unwilling to help other people and they will be selfish. But since self-sacrifice is necessary when helping others, people will not be incentivized to help others as they fixate on their personal happiness, being unwilling to trade off their own happiness for others. Thus, people will be selfish, blinded by their drive for success, and will step and trample on the weaker people around them. This is detrimental to society, as happily ever after will worsen the social cohesion, and this will spark tensions between communities, which harms Singapore, which is a multiracial society. Thus, on side proposition, we regret the narrative of happily ever after, and this is why you should vote proposition. Thank you.
You that opposition isn't really contending on anything that's different as to what proposition has set out, because the process of finding happiness still ultimately boils down to whether or not this happiness was actually achieved in the end. I would suggest that even if one believes in achieving happiness through experiences as opposed to eventual outcomes, they actually still buy into the narrative that eventual joy and satisfaction is still something that they value. Thus, they want to achieve this as soon as possible and to keep it for as long as they can. Thus, Rose's impacts of how societies becomes less empathetic still stands. Next, my second rebuttal is on their main argument of achieving self-fulfilling prophecies, which act as a motivation to continue pushing forward. We see that this is inherently not true, given that the notion of happily ever after has already been glorified, that it's likely to be something that is fragile at its core. So, when one continues to face failures one after another, it's therefore likely for them not to find fulfillment from this anymore. Therefore, the entire mechanism of how people continue to work hard is disproved. As a second speaker, I'll be covering two arguments. One, on how the overemphasis of happily ever after seems to create this toxic perception of love, and two, on how happiness can never truly be achieved in today's debate. First, on the overemphasis on happily ever after forming an unrealistic understanding of love in today's society. We argue that in movies like Frozen, where Anna decides to marry Hans after just one night of dancing with him, it's an outright example of how she was blinded by her chase for love, that any red flag is overlooked. It's a glaring example of how this narrative has harmed society. This is in line with what Rose mentioned earlier on how happily ever after is essentially the happy ending between the protagonist and their hero at the end of the fairy tale, indicating that people believe that happiness can only be achieved when they find their perfect match and their one and only. Therefore, we tell you that it is extremely detrimental for society to base their happiness on the existence of love, interest, and it's something that requires a lot more nuance as just what the media portrays currently. Now, onto my second argument of how there's always a better ending out there waiting for them. We tell you that this takes away the ability for one to live in this moment and causes them to feel as if they are stuck in this never-ending rat race, resulting in even more pressure and even more competition in today's society, therefore never ever being able to actually experience happiness at its core, which we regret so heavily. Thus, with all these reasons, I've never been prouder to propose, please vote for proposition. Thank you.
We thank the Deputy Prime Minister for that wonderful speech. To further extend the debate, may we now invite the Deputy Leader of Opposition to extend her speech on opposition's case. Deputy Leader of Opposition, please.
Our stance was simple. We believe that happily work together outweighs whatever selfishness prop suggests. We think that people have the fundamental understanding that there is a level of self-sacrifice involved in everything they do. But even if this is true, so anyway, because individualism promotes self-betterment and development, where it makes society more progressive and still achieves some kind of net benefit, i.e. societal development. Furthermore, we think why people live in the first place is to achieve some kind of meaning in their lives, i.e. their own happiness, still heavily depends on others, which I'll elaborate more in my substantive later. Secondly, they told us that there will be a loss of emphasis on caring relationships, which creates a social divide. We think that on a societal level, it's extremely difficult to buy the fact that somehow a narrative is able to translate into such a huge impact of social divide, because they haven't really told us what has already happened in the status quo. On an individual level, we think it's also not true that people are foolish enough to follow this narrative to the extreme spectrum, where they know that, for example, going into relationships, etc., there's going to be definitely a level of problems faced, at least not in this change in micro-behaviors. Moving on to my main substantive, on how we build a more empathetic society. The premise of the argument is that inherently, people are social creatures and just want to survive. In the world that we live in today, people know that in order to succeed and reach their own version of happiness, they need to work with others and help each other to do so. The mechanism is that such a narrative promotes that everyone has their own version of their process.
Thank you, Deputy Leader of Opposition. We will now invite the government whip to close the case for government. Hear, hear.
I'm going to do two things in my speech today. One, on how the narrative influences how people seek happiness on an individual level, and two, on the willingness to help others as a result of the narrative. On to my first clash on the individual level. Firstly, we don't buy into how people within the context of the narrative will get that happiness is derived within the process of something. Happily ever after is used as an ending. It's often used in a way to hurriedly tie up loose ends and finish the story on a good note. What this means is that stories often have characters fall into happiness. It looks like Sleeping Beauty getting her happy ending, even though there was no process to obtain such happiness anyways. More than that though, the kind of happiness one is searching for is often greater than what they started out with. What I mean by this is stories with this narrative often have characters gain something that makes them happy or fall into a situation for obtaining your own happiness while resentment. Opposition continues to claim that altruism is something that occurs due to the very fact that we also want other people to be happy, and this makes us happy too. This is predicated on the fact that we naturally care about others. As I've already pointed out in my previous point of contention, you already feel a sense of resentment and frustration with your own search for happiness. It means that you, at that point, most likely only care about yourself and how you can obtain that happiness, not that of others. Even if you care about others, right, you would still prioritize yourself and your happiness as something that is greater than that of others. Understand that being selfish does not mean that I only care about myself. It means I care more about myself than others. The fact that altruism requires a certain element of self-sacrifice means that you have to give up part of your own happiness and yourself to help others, which directly clashes with your desire to solely focus on yourself and your own happiness at the end of the day as a result of the narrative. The narrative makes you search out for that and desire it the most. Therefore, regardless of side opposition's analysis, it's still more probable that you will end up being selfish and unwilling to help others. Therefore, we take this clash. Thus, this motion should stand. Vote for side proposition.
Thank you, Government Whip. To conclude the debate, we will now call upon the Opposition Whip to wrap up the case for opposition. Opposition Whip, please.
This debate eventually boils down to two things. Firstly, the individual benefits, and secondly, the notion of societal development, both of which are my points of contention for the House today. This narrative should not be regretted because of the lack of active harms and the actual benefits that come out of it. Hence, we take this debate. Firstly, on which side best benefits an individual. Side prop tries valiantly to defend their counterfactual, for which they see this world as a net zero, the only benefit being this idea of safety when people in this debate constrain themselves from doing any great things. This is already something that goes against the inherent spirit of happiness that we spent the bulk of our previous speeches proving to you, self-betterment, and how this process is more important than an arbitrary result. Now, to weigh this idea of self-betterment against this inherent happiness that side prop tries to prove. By virtue of the fact that self-betterment is probably going to be the way that someone achieves happiness in this world, their net zero becomes a net negative because they don't even have this push to even work for happiness in the first place because A, they don't even have a world that believes in happiness fundamentally, and B, they don't even see hope in any pursuits even if they want to try. To achieve this happiness through self-betterment, side-op will always be able to do this better through a self-fulfilling prophecy that will A, give people the direct benefits of this happiness through the process of self-betterment, right? And B, give people in this world a happiness to be working towards, which therefore mechanizes my entire bench's points. Because prop's net zero is actually a flat-out net negative, we see that their points hinging on the benefits for an individual have fallen. There is everything to gain and nothing to lose on op, we take this clash. Secondly, on which side best benefits a society. Prop goes on and on about how they think there's going to be a less empathetic society on the op bench. Two responses to that, and how op actually ensures a more empathetic society. Firstly, by our ideals of happiness, self-betterment is probably going to be the best mechanism for happiness, and an altruistic and empathetic nature is probably going to be considered one of self-betterment. And therefore, this means that people are going to become more altruistic and empathetic naturally on our side of the case. Altruism, empathy, and happiness come hand in hand in today's debate, and only op can bring them all together. Secondly, on the fundamental understanding of this point, understand that humans are not going to be happy watching a loved one suffer. Humans are social creatures, and happiness is not going to be evoked by watching people that they love suffer, thus disproving their entire argument on how this creates a less empathetic society because of their flawed understanding of our world. Look at this inversely, right? A happiness is more likely to be instilled on our side of the case when people are more willing to uplift each other through this happiness achieved through altruism, through our mechanization of our points on how the process is more important in ensuring that there is happiness. The boost in altruism edges out all their points on how op decreases a society. Practically, this sense of self-betterment has by extension driven a society forward, when people had an altruistic nature to benefit others through practical innovations, perfected through betterment, enhancing a real-world society as well. Because happiness is ensured on a larger scale with self-betterment and how altruism is increased with the idea of mutual happiness and practicality, we take this clash and by extension the entire debate. The only side in today's debate that can really, tangibly prove to you the existence of A, happiness, and B, a better society is side op, hence leaving me ever so proud to oppose. Thank you.
Thank you, Opposition Whip. The exhibition debate has now come to an end. We thank both houses for the fruitful debate, and we hope that this was an insightful one for you. Thank you.
Good evening. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am CE.
And I am Wei Lin.
And we are from the River Valley Chamber Singers. Tonight, RVCS will be presenting 3 pieces. Our first piece, Fire of Hope, is a set piece commissioned for this year's SYF Arts presentation. Composed by Dr. Darius Lim, Fire of Hope is a strong acknowledgement of the different grilling challenges Singaporeans have to go through throughout the pandemic. Many hopes were dashed and countless ambitions were shattered. Through his invigorating new work, Dr. Lim wishes that the youth of today will rekindle their dreams and believe that there will always be a better tomorrow.
Our second piece, Sicut Cervus, is a 16th century motet for 4 voices by Italian Renaissance composer Palestrina. The text of this song is from the beginning of Psalm 42, which translates to, "As the deer longs for running waters, so my soul longs for you, my God." Sicut Cervus expresses a deep sense of longing and spiritual yearning through subtle word painting, imitative duets, evaded cadences, and dance harmonies.
Let Your Light Come is a contemporary setting of Psalms 42 and 43 of the Book of Psalms. Written by Swedish composer Agneta Elizabeth Scott, the piece is strongly influenced by Native American spirituals and gospel music. The music weaves through moments of intricate polyphony, heartwarming homophony, and a surprising solo before finishing off with a strong cadence. Presenting to you, River Valley Chamber Singers.
Good evening, everyone. We will now be having an intermission break of 10 minutes. If you wish to leave the auditorium, please do so through the doors on the middle levels, and remember to bring your tickets along in order to re-enter the auditorium. The intermission break will end at 8:05 p.m. sharp. Please remember to head back to the auditorium on time to enjoy the rest of the concert. Thank you. Our intermission break ends now. Welcome back to the ReVerie concert. Please settle down as soon as possible, as our next CCA performance item will be starting very soon. Once again, please try to minimize disruptions, as that might be distracting to the performance. Thank you.
Hi everyone, hope you've had a nice break. We're from Chinese drama and our play is 3年6个月零5天. The play explores themes of family love and life and death with a whimsical twist. Finally, a shocking revelation leaves Yuting and her family appalled and helpless in their circumstances.
故事线跟着被法老王绑架而因困在埃及金字塔的女主角玉婷，她的家人们度过重重难关，与法老王和他的手下对垒。Stay tuned to find out more.